Like the story of the guy that gets married and he watches his wife and she takes a ham and cuts it off, turns around, cuts the other end off. He watched her doing this and doing this. Finally one day he said, "Why are you cutting both ends off that ham?" Well, she said, "I don't know. That's just the way Mom taught me to cook it." A little while later, he's at his mother-in-law. He sees she's taking a ham, cut one end off, turn around, cut the other. He said, "Why are you cutting both ends off that ham?" He said, "I don't know. That's just the way Mom taught me to cook it." Well, sure enough, he's at his granny's. And he sees Granny taking and cutting one end. He says, "Why are you cutting both ends off that ham?" "Oh," she said, "I used to have a pan that was too small to hold the ham." And you just pass it down to generation. Why do you do most of the things you do? It was programmed into your mind. What kind of thoughts were programmed into your mind? Because that's how your subconscious mind became conditioned. That's what's controlling your income right now. That's what's controlling your progress in your business. And you see, as those ideas go in over and over and over again, the paradigm is formed. Now, by law, that paradigm must manifest in results. That is an absolute law. I remember we were running a program one time. It cost $7,500 to go to it. There was a woman in London, Wendy. She came to America. She was in seminars that I was doing there, and she brought her son, who was 21, 22. And she says, "I asked him to come as a favor to me," and she said, "I told him I would pay for it because this program was going to show him how to change his paradigm." And she said, "I know what your paradigm's like because I formed it." Do you know what you don't fix, your kids will inherit? They're an extension of you. Well, that's where you were programmed. And then we find out that the paradigm influences the thinking. Now, let me go back. The paradigm is formed before you can even think. The paradigm influences the thinking. Let's suppose a person's programmed in a home where they never earn above an average income. What are the odds of that person thinking of how to earn, let's say, $25,000, $50,000 a month? They're not going to do it. And if they hear anybody talking about it, it's nonsense. The paradigm also controls what you do. See, you've got a ton of books in your mind. You've gathered all kinds of information, but you're not expressing it. Everybody here knows how to do at least twice as well as they're doing. But we're not doing it. Why? The paradigm is controlling us. And if we're going to change our results, we've got to change the paradigm. In our regular coaching program, we work for an entire year with people on that. Put them through a whole series of material. Now look, school gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter old paradigms. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. We know how to treat people properly, but that doesn't mean we treat them properly. We know how to prospect, but that doesn't mean we prospect. Do you know that most people that sell make an absolutely pathetic sales presentation? They really do. Should ask yourself, would you get an Academy Award for your sales presentation? How many hours goes into every minute of your presentation? Rhonda says, "Where are your notes?" And I said, "Right in here." I don't need a note. If you make up your mind that you're going to work and you're going to program yourself to live the way you want to live, to do what you want to do, and do it well, that's what you'll do. You go to school and you hear what the teacher is saying. You hear with your ears. And because you hear what the teacher's saying, you gather the information. Now, gathering information is exactly what it implies. It's gathering information. And the books start to get stored in the intellect. Then they come along and they say, now we've given you the lessons, we've talked to you about it, we told you what to read, now we're going to have an exam, and so you get a test, and that'll dictate how much you know. And if you answer all the questions, voila, you are an educated individual. Now, isn't it strange, since there isn't any such thing as an educated individual? You're either learning or you're not. Education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw out from within. It has absolutely nothing to do with gathering information. Now, knowing, that's not knowing. We'll come back to that. Now, there's a difference between hearing and listening. You hear with your ears. You could be in this room and you'd hear everything that's going on and not listen. You see, you listen with the emotions. You have to let yourself get emotionally involved in the idea. That's all the way through the secret. You've got to get emotionally involved. There's a beautiful word, praxis. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. You take the beliefs in your consciousness and you integrate them with your behavior by implanting them in the subconscious. Now, if you listen, odds are pretty good you will learn. Now, learning is when you consciously entertain an idea, you get emotionally involved in the idea, you step out and act on that idea, and you change the end result. Now, here's the deal. The feedback from the change in result as a result of what you were doing is the learning experience. It's the feedback. Let me come back at that. It's the feedback from the change in result that's the learning experience. Now, why is repetition necessary? Why is it necessary? I was talking to Jim for a minute yesterday, and isn't this odd? That was the first time I've ever met Jim. But I've known of him as long as I've been in the business, because he's been in it longer than me, doing phenomenal work. But you go and ask him, he'll tell you that repetition is necessary because it changes the paradigm. Why? Why would we listen to the same thing over and over and over and over again? I was telling Jim yesterday that I drove around with a battery-operated record player. It's in the Nightingale Conant office now. A little battery-operated record player that played records. And I drive around listening to Earl Strange's Secret over and over and over and over and over again. And I remember on that record, he said, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. And I thought, God, this guy really knows something.